evening. Oh. Good evening. I'm your host, Keith, your man of letters, here to bring you knowledge, information, and a bit of entertainment. It seems notifications have been sent, which means 99% of you who are watching it now are going to be watching this video after it has been recorded. What's up? Welcome. Thanks for joining us. A wizard is never late nor on time. He arrives precisely when he means to. Remember that. Anywho, we're gonna do some sort of freestyle tonight. Not that we don't freestyle most nights. Nonetheless, we're gonna attack all questions from not one specific source, but mainly the Kabbalion. We're going to see how well this works. Lots of people, because I have a relatively larger YouTube channel, people will ask me a number of questions in the spiritual, occult, esoteric world. And while I have realistically concrete answers for probably less than 10% of those questions, what I do have is an impeccable recollection of knowledge that has to do with patterns of the world based off of certain philosophies, certain beliefs, nature herself. And so while I can't exactly give you the answer you want, maybe I'll give you the answer that you need. Or maybe I won't do a damn thing other than get the wheels turning. That being said, thanks for being here. You guys could be anywhere tonight, and you choose to be here. And for that, I am exceedingly grateful for. Tonight, what we will be using is the Herbal Tarot deck. And last but most certainly not least, my brain, or my heart, or my entire being. Who knows? All of the above. Also some oregano. So, without further ado, I'll head on over to the comment section in just a second. Again, I'm your host, Keith, your man of letters, here to bring you knowledge, information, and a bit of entertainment. If you're new, feel free to slam on that subscribe button, hit the notification bell right underneath it so that you're reminded when new videos come out. Leave a comment, let us know a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself to the class. We have a real good thing going here. Please be respectful. Please, if someone has differing ideas than you, so be it. So be it. There's no room for animosity or unnecessary bad vibes. Sometimes you gotta put bad vibes out there. I get it. Sometimes you gotta dabble in the darkness. I understand. However, the unnecessary burdens of vibration in the room will not be tolerated. Will not be tolerated. That being said, pour yourself a glass of wine. Roll yourself up some oregano. Join the squad, man. Take your shoes off. Stay a while. Let's go ahead and peep into the comments and see what people are up to so far. And 1, and 2, and 1, 2, 3, There's an awfully large amount of background noise coming from this microphone. It's really annoying. Maybe that helps. All right. Ooh, I forgot to mention John Smith is king of the chat. He's head honcho in the room. So, if you guys have any questions, behind the scenes questions, he'll probably be able to help you out. And if you say some nonsense in the comment section, he will probably kick you out. He's the boss, you guys. I don't know what you want from me. You guys enjoying yourselves? You guys ready to dip into some magic? Salavi Studio. Hello. Cutie731. Hi. J Cadless. What it do? That's what I said. Hello there. Who else we got going in here? You put bad vibes, but sometimes you need to put your past in your pants. Pumbaa, Pumbaa, Pumbaa. Lie down before you hurt yourself. Double R, Purple Freely, Jeremiah Sims Clark Nature. Jeremiah, we ride. We ride. With the mad microphone? I know. I thought we would do it up tonight, you guys. I got the power. Huey, what's cracking, man? Okay, so this conversation is going to be dictated by you guys. If you guys have any outlandish questions, bring them forth. Like I said, I might not be able to answer them to your liking, but I should be able to pull something nice. I'm going to be shooting from the hip. We'll probably get one of our other tarot masters. I'll pull a card, have them pull something just to give us a sort of angle to approach the question, and then I'm gonna channel Thoth, the Atlantean, for all of you. And if you want to speak to Thoth, you're gonna have to donate $300 per question, because Toth's got to get that dollar bill, yo. That's why Thoth charges for his channelings, because Toth's got to get his, you know. Just kidding. Ooh, that being said. Oh, fuck. That being said, as you guys can see, I have a little tip jar on the screen. It's cool as fuck. I know. Check this out. You tip, and the coin goes in the glass, and it fills up. Watch this. Oh no, I closed it. Alright, I might not be able to demonstrate it unless one of you guys actually tip. So who wants to be a homie and tip 25 cents to the tip jar? This the stream is in the description. You just add the link from the description and be like, would you like to donate to Man of Letters to help him build a rainforest that covers the entire planet? And he'll be like, yes. And it'll be like, how much money do you wish to donate? And you can be like, 25 cents. And it'll go ching ching, and it'll put like a quarter inside of the tip jar. It's really fucking cool. If not, whatever. Alright, let's see if anyone's got any questions for us. If not, what I think we will do is just pull a card and ask my own question. Magic Sun. Summer Stafford would like some of that power. I got the power. I don't know. You must prove yourself, Summer Stafford, if you want the power. Ooh, that's a I put that dream spagyric in my oregano water pipe and it's the bomb. Yesenia, what's great? Where is it? The link is in the description. Ooh, John Smith, thank you kindly. Damn, John Smith for the win. We're gonna answer a question. We got our first question, you guys. We got our first question. Why do you think people lie to themselves subconsciously? So we'll pull a card. Card will sort of help direct. I'm not sure why I'm pulling a card. I just feel like I just feel like it might be a nice touch. So, like I said, we'll have a tarot master in the room help us out with the card because I'm no tarot master. I pull the cards and they show me things. So, la da da. Page of Swords. Page of Swords. The corresponding plant is dill. So someone hit me with the Page of Swords and I'll start the question. Start answering the question. Slava Studio, I'm not sure. I just set that tip jar up before we started. Hopefully you don't, because last time it got weird. Like I said, don't worry about it. If it's too much going on at once, don't sweat it. We're gonna start reading some shit. We'll get the channel big enough to where we can get sponsored by fucking Walmart or something ridiculous like that, and then we can just have our fun. Until then, we're gonna answer the first question. So, why do you think people lie to themselves subconsciously? Well, first, we're going to have to narrow that down because the subconscious mind isn't necessarily active. It's more passive. So, when we are lying to ourselves, that's more of a conscious decision to lie to ourselves. Unless, alright, let's go into the studies for this one. We have mentalism, vibration. Oh, there we go. We'll use the law of vibration. The law of vibration, at least part of it, at least the important part of it for this is this aspect called resonance. Resonance is when two neighboring objects reflect back sound off the surface. A good example is two instruments sitting side by side. If you pluck the string of one instrument, the corresponding string on the other instrument, say they're both violins, the corresponding string on the other instrument will also vibrate without having to be touched. That's because the two strings are tuned to the same frequency. So, because they're the same frequency, when one vibrates, the synchronous, there's that word, the synchronous vibrations of one string matches and vibrates the other. It's this strange phenomena, it's called resonance, it's part of vibration. It's how sort of manifestation works, because the idea is not to attract things to you, but to vibrate in such a way that your neighboring world vibrates back at you. At least the frequency that you're trying to match, those objects appear to you, which is why you have more synchronicity, which is why you have more conversations that are like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened. Of all the people I ran into today, well, it's because you have a frequency and they share that frequency, and because you guys are near each other, you start to evoke the world around you. You start to bring things out. So that's how resonance works. However, I'm gonna try to swing this to why we lie to ourselves subconsciously. And I'll try to use myself as an example because it's a lot easier when I use my own experiences Times I have lied to myself. Let's think of a good one. What times have I lied to myself? Say I lied to myself when something's not working out. We keep trying to force it, but we refuse to give up. We start to make excuses for making excuses for our errors to sort of protect our ego. And that is where the lying to ourselves comes to. I'm assuming when you say in our subconscious, you're being lying to ourselves in a way that we don't understand. That's where my confusion with your question was. Because we don't necessarily have access to our subconscious. So if our subconscious lies, then we don't know we're actually lying to ourselves, which is a tough one, which is actually super difficult. So this has actually come up a lot for me. It's come up a lot for me in my sort of spiritual journey is, all right, I'm down to fix the things I know that are wrong with me. Okay, I have a problem expressing myself. I'm talking about me now. I have a problem expressing myself clearly, especially when it comes to confrontation, because I like things to go smooth. I like things to go easy. I like to maintain this like steady, calm coolness, which is not good, by the way, because when I need to express myself, I don't, because it will disturb that peace and serenity. So I became overly passive. So that was one thing that I had to deal with. I've gotten a lot better over the years. This is just the example I'm using. Basically, when we lie to ourselves on the subconscious plane and we don't know we're lying to ourselves, it becomes this really difficult part of your life to fix. Because in order to fix something, you have to know what it is. But if you don't know what it is, you can't fix it. So me and a lot of us out there, what we do is we sort of have this whole fucking darkness to us, dark side to us that we don't know exists because we've lied to ourselves on a subconscious level, which makes it tricky to fix it. So for myself, I was like, all right, I'm down to fix the things I have, but how the fuck am I supposed to fix something if I don't know if it's wrong? Right? How am I supposed to know that I'm making the decision based on my own volition and not something coming from the movies or the media or my parents or my friends or my siblings and shit? Right? How do I know I'm making my own choice and it's not programmed inside of me? And this is where we'll bring in resonance and the law of vibration from the Hermetics, which says that things resonate with each other. And it's the sort of loophole that I've been using for myself is starting to notice how things sit with me, how they resonate with me, which takes it takes a fuck ton of time, focus, willpower to sort of dial in at all times how you're feeling, where those feelings coming from, why are you holding on to those feelings, why won't you let those feelings go? Great, emotions are wonderful, I get it, but we can't dwell on them, we can't become the emotion, we have to let them go. So there's this whole sort of learning process that goes with how to fix things that are wrong with you that you don't know are wrong with you to start with. And then there's some basic shit like ask a friend, or look at the past relationships that you've been in. How have they failed? What's been the common denominator of your failed relationships? Because you date a bunch of different people, but you have the same problem with all the different people. So maybe you gotta put on your feelers, your vibration feelers, and go, oh, there's a quality of energy right here that is disharmonious. What the fuck is it? Where is it coming from? It's not synchronous, it's agitating. Maybe it's not all the different individual people. Maybe there's a pattern that I'm taking into a situation that's allowing both of our darknesses to sort of run amok, because again, we have tucked the lies into our subconscious. So your question was, why do we do that? Question is why we do that. I'm not sure why we do that. Did anyone help me out with the Page of Swords and the spiritual, the symbolic meaning of the plant dill? Communication, sometimes harsh or immature communication. All right. Attention to thoughts. Little Levin will do your question next, but hit me with the passage when I'm done with this one. Oh, you can't fuck it. If the tip jar is not that easy to figure out, you guys, I might fucking just take it down altogether. That's a bummer. Here's your answer. Here it just came to me. Here's why we lie to ourselves. Remember how I told you about resonance? You put two violins together and they make each other play without having to touch them just because of the vibrations? The reason why we lie to ourselves is because we create a false reality with the lies that we give out. And the more we believe that false reality, the more smoothly that false reality operates. Because that's what your lies are doing. There's truth. There's a sort of objective reality. And then there's the one that you create in your head. And the more you believe the one that you create in your head, the easier your life is. The moment you realize the lies that you've told yourself, the moment you realize you actually are a dickhead, and you've just been giving yourself an excuse, or you're really just an asshole, but you've been calling it, oh, I'm just a really passionate person. You know, this is why I talk to people like that, just because I'm really passionate. Where the truth is like, no, you're being a dickhead. Get your emotions under control. You know what I mean? When we start revealing the lies, instead of the vibrations being harmonious in our world, they start to be disharmonious. So instead of both rising up and then both going down, both rising up and both going down, you're getting one rising up and you're getting the other coming down, and you're just getting a washout. Like, you ever been to the beach and you see a wave falling beautifully, like an A-frame, and it just perfect break, right? And then you get two waves that crash together. As soon as they meet, they dissolve into each other, and it's just fucking pure chaos. That's why we lie to ours. Someone's tip just went through. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. That tip jar sound thing is going to be a problem. A good problem. But yeah, that's why we lie to ourselves. Because once we start pulling shit, once we open Pandora's box and start revealing the truths that we've been hiding, it's almost like, this is what the Kabbalion, the Kabbalion doesn't say it, but I wrote it in my book. I said, these journeys are the types of journeys that are best actually not to start. But once you start, it's best to finish. And this is a prime example why. It's like, all right, if you're going to be doing this work, you know, finding out your demons and doing the whole dark shadow of the night thing, you're better off not doing it, because you're living in your perfect world of your lies, your perfect world of your illusions. And it's going great. Your illusions are going great, and you're truly happy, more or less truly happy. Like, you can sleep at night, you can smile throughout the day. But you can't do that when you realize you're actually a piece of shit. Or, that was a little harsh, but, or maybe you are a piece of shit. I don't know. Or maybe not that harsh, but okay, maybe it's my fault that I'm not making more money. You know what? Actually, maybe I'm the one to blame in relationships. Actually, you know what, Keith? Maybe you just don't express yourself enough as you should, because you're so afraid of confrontation that you don't say anything, thinking everything's gonna be okay, but you hide it for so long and it's actually not okay. And so you end up not getting what the fuck you want, and you want to blame everyone else, but it's your own fault. See what I'm saying? So you open up the can of worms, and you need to fucking fix the can of worms so that your life can be harmonious once again. Because it's best not to start, but once you start, it's best to finish. Because if you don't finish, what ends up happening is you get caught in this world of, alright, I know my darkness, but I'm too afraid to fix them. So you just live in a world of disharmony, of guilt, of stagnance, of like this depressive woe is me, because you see all the darkness but you're not willing to do the work to get back to the light, and so you're fucking doing the washout thing instead of the harmonious thing, and that's why we lie. Probably could have answered that question a lot shorter, but it took me a while to figure out what the hell I wanted to say. So Page of Swords, what was it? Not being straightforward with oneself, not handling the truth in a mature manner, perhaps. J. Catalyst. Is that what that card means? Because if that's what that card means, holy shit, that was literally verbatim what the fuck we just talked about. That's awesome. Double R. That's a beautiful quote. Someone put that on the Discord for the good quotes by the people in the squad. Shelly, happy you made it too. Good fortune, tranquility, prosperity, lust, and protection. I'm not sure how that plant worked out for the... Sorry guys, I'm checking your comments. Give me a second. Yada, yada, yada. See, if I had super chat, the questions would be... I haven't added super chat yet though, but... Will I turn up the volume? Absolutely, there's the volume. Let me know if the volume is up. Sweet. Alright, you guys. Did a tip go through the tip jar, by the way? Is there a... Oh my god, we got a tip. We got a little coin in the jar, you guys. That's awesome. Sweet. Nice. Alright, there's another question. There's a couple more. Can you guys do me a favor and repeat your questions so I don't have to stroll all the way through the comment section again? That would be most helpful. How does this look with? Dope. I'm not sure who left the tip, but thank you. Anywho. Someone hit me. There was an Unal question. What's the meaning if you fight with friends in a dream? I'm not sure, man. That's pretty vague. Is there a reason that you're fighting with friends? Because the dream elements have their corresponding aspects, of course, but if it's just a general fighting with friends, then it could literally mean you're just fighting with friends. I'm not sure there's too much symbolism behind that, unless there were some really weird things going on during the fight. Neturu? But I don't even know what Neturu is. Oh, okay. Nice. Alright. The Neturu, which which are wrongly translated as gods, goddesses, are the many faces and aspects of the one supreme being that created the universe and all that is. The source of all love and oneness, which some call God, Creator, Creatrix, the universe, or the goddess. That's a good question. We're going to do that one. Alright, so the question was, how do you embody the Neturu mentally? What's your practice and process? Alright, so what I just read is that it relates to, or it acknowledges that there's one supreme creator. It acknowledges that there's one supreme creator, and at the same time acknowledges that there are other facets of that creator. Let me know if I'm barking up the right tree here. And the various gods represent various archetypes. That's how I see the Neturu, is each god represents sort of an archetype of the human psyche, the human consciousness. So, for example, the hero's journey, right? So, the hero's journey, I probably should have used an example that I knew more in depth, but anywho, the hero's journey is like, you start off with the ordinary person who gets introduced to extraordinary events, and he has to transform into this extraordinary person to overcome these extraordinary events, which involves some sort of dip into hell or the netherworlds, where he's exposed to darkness, and then he comes out bright and shining on the other side like a conqueror and a new person, and it's called the hero's journey. So that's an archetype, meaning it's a sort of underlying principle among human consciousness. What up, man? I'm shooting a video right now. Let me up in a little bit. Oh, you got my uke still? How much? I bet the homie was trying to jam next door. And so, I've never had a practice when it comes to gods and goddesses, because I haven't necessarily gotten into ritual worship of anything since my Catholic days, where we would, I'm referring to like doing rituals with the saints and the rosary and things like that. I think that's pretty much it as far as your question goes. Practicing. Well. So the process. I was actually doing this a couple years ago. The magician is another archetype. So it's sort of like, again, you just have to resonate with the corresponding elements of sort of each god/goddess, which is really the archetype. Look out in nature, and so you say, okay, this is the god of trees. So how do you be more like the god of trees? Well, you just look at trees, right? Because the tree is a corresponding element to the Neturu, and you go, okay, what do I notice about trees? Well, they're strong. They go just as far down as they go up. They bear fruit and seeds, which produce more trees. They bend in the wind, but they don't break. So what does that teach you about being strong but also being soft at the same time, right? Because if you're too hard, you break under the wind, but you're hard enough to not get pushed over by the wind. So my process when it comes to whether it's the Egyptian gods, whether it's Norse mythology, whether it's Greek mythology, whether it's pagan or Native American mythology, Indian, Hindu mythology, Far East mythology, every human culture does the same exact thing. They have a god that's based on something in the world, and this something in the world has the same exact characteristics of that god. Whether that god or goddess is of the earth, is of love, is of war, is of fertility, that will be associated with corresponding elements that give those same things. My practice is to just study those things, study those patterns, study. My favorite shit is nature. I'll watch nature documentaries to make sense of the world, or yeah. Anywho. Big smile, YouTube. I mean, if you haven't talked to the homie in a year and you're still dreaming about it, then it's clearly just unresolved shit. Maybe you haven't said your piece. Maybe you didn't say everything that you needed to say. Maybe you didn't get the response that you didn't want to hear. Maybe it didn't end the way you didn't want it to end. And so I guess you have two options at that point. You can say something, and if you don't think that'll work because you already tried, then you're just going to have to learn how to let go of shit. Maybe that's, like I said, it's been a year. If it's still bugging you, you either make amends or you do something. Hold some kind of fucking seance and use a god of deliverance and ask you to deliver yourself from the emotions that you have attached to the dream. Might not be very helpful, but like I said, there's not much to go off of inside of the dream. Sorry, Dominique. The hell is that noise? Weird. Know ye, O man, that far into the future invaders shall come from out of the deep. Then awake ye who have wisdom. Bring forth my ship and conquer with ease. Deep beneath the image lies my secret. Search and find in the pyramid I built. Each to the other is the keystone. Each the gateway that leads into life. Follow the key I leave behind me. Seek, and the doorway to life shall be thine. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about when he says, bring forth my ship. If he's talking about an actual ship, what I do know that is it's kind of up for grabs. He talks about things coming from the deep. The depth of what? The depth of the human soul. Darkness is coming up from the actual planet. In the Emerald Tablets, in the beginning, Thoth spoke of how the Starborn taught the children of the earth magic, basically, but that the children of the earth were unbalanced and they started going into the depths to bring up these entities that required blood to be brought up. Paraphrasing, and they had to destroy the world. So, again, Thoth is talking about darkness coming from the depths, but then talks about gateways. Where are we at? Where is each gateway that leads into life? Whenever I hear gateways, when you're looking in terms of code, I think chakras, because chakras are gateways. They're portals. They're rotating portals, which provide balance. The 7 chakras provide balance. Earlier in the tablets, Thoth was saying, look, man, we taught them magic. They got a little carried away with the darkness, started digging a little too deep. The darkness started to look back. They fucked some shit up. The cornerstones, remember, like it made the world unstable. So again, it's talking about cornerstones. And he says, we had to wipe them all out. We flooded the whole place. And go figure, every history has a flood story, or every culture has a flood story. And you have all these signs of a massive flood. Anywho, the imbalance could be coming from the human soul in something like the chakras, aka the gateways of these subtle energies to come into this existence. Because things, you got to remember that in order for something to exist in the physical dimension, it must occupy a three-dimensional physical vehicle. For you to interact as a human, your soul must come in as a human body. And then the human body has the 7 chakras. So you have the etheric energy, but the energy has to come into the body through a physical portal if it wants to use its power on the physical realm, which is why the third eye corresponds to the pineal gland, for example. Or people say that the pineal gland or dimethyltryptamine is the spirit molecule. It's probably the best example. It's like, okay, spirit exists as spirit, but when it comes into the human body and the human body reacts, what's happening? Well, you have a physical reaction to the spirit world, and that is DMT, supposedly, which is why they call it the spirit molecule, and why all animals have it, plants have it, everything fucking creates DMT, which happens to be the most psychedelic substance on the planet. Anywho, that's what I see when I see that passage. I see, all right, something's going on with chakras and imbalance in them. When they collapse, sort of the cornerstones collapse, homies might have to come back down and flood everybody out again. And that's my take on that. What video game were you playing, Dominique? But you can't really be high-key woke now, can you? I don't even know what that means, Carlos. You're speaking in tongue right now. Blessings, Gabe. Carlos, I understand what you're saying. I'm not getting caught up in the mystical appeal, but the mystical appeal is what makes it entertaining. And I'm sure you know as well as I do, if the people are not entertained, they are not giving you their attention. So, I will not drop the mystical for sake of interest and fun alone. I mean, I like that shit. It makes it easier to remember. So you tell the story of the Zeus and the Pantheon. It's like, no one would remember that shit if the stories sucked. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're mystical as fuck and they're meant to be metaphors. Most of the time. But to lose the mystical is to sort of lose is to lose a certain sort of je ne sais quoi, if you know what I mean. Pineal gland. Thanks for the tidbit, though, Carlos. I always appreciate the trains of thoughts. What's up, Candy Mikowski? This book is, well, the question was from the Emerald Tablets. Oops, hold on, you guys. I'm like, trying to dial this in over here. Anywho, where were we? You can't go deeper if you don't bypass the mystical. I don't know if I agree with that 100%. I find focusing on certain colors helps a lot with chakra work and just energy throughout the day. Feel ya? Little 11. That was out of the Emerald Tablets. Yeah. Knowledge is inaccessible to the intellect. Mysticism. That's funny. Alright. Good night, Yesenia. Thanks for hanging out. Damn, I'm bummed that tip jar doesn't work. I'm gonna have to maybe just use good old-fashioned PayPal.me, and whoever pops up will get the card and answer. Whoever pops up on the PayPal donation link. I just really like that tip jar because you get to see coins fill it up, and I was like, fuck, that'd be so cool if that worked. Alright. Wendy, darling. What are we talking about, if you don't mind? I have just arrived. We're talking about anything and everything. Do you know anything about spiritual permeable forces manipulating beings to war against each other, playing the referee and manipulator? Ooh. Are we going into conspiracy theories right now? Are we dipping into the conspiracy theories? Two sides of the coin, absolutely, Carlos. Do you know anything about this? About spiritual permeable? Well, all spiritual forces are permeable, by definition. But manipulating beings to war against each other, playing the referee, and no. Do you know anything about? You asked me that question as if you asked me that question as if I have connections on the inside, and I'm gonna be like, why, yes, I do. I do, in fact, know something about permeable spiritual forces. Damn it. I was trying to be in character in that. Never mind. I ruined the character. But thank you for the donation, whoever that was. Thank you kindly. That was awesome. Like I said, the best distraction for a live. I guess I'll try to answer the question, though, from whatever measly point of view I have on the topic. From the readings I've done on Stitchin' and the historical figures that I've followed in stories and mystical stories that I've followed, I find it very difficult, even the science articles that I've read about missing gaps in DNA or quote-unquote junk DNA and things like that. I can't help but think maybe at some point in time we were in fact genetically manipulated for a certain cause, for a certain purpose. And if that were the case, then the answer to your question would be easy. It would be absolutely humans are being manipulated. But I don't fucking know. Those are questions that are almost useless to ask. Not because they're not important, but because the answer, regardless of what it was, would do you absolutely no good. So let's say the answer is yes, there are forces, there are permeable spiritual forces manipulating humanity. Okay, now what? Okay, well, how do you free yourself from that? Well, become independent of thought, independent of action, meditate every day, eat healthy, don't follow the herd, right? Use your mind, body, soul for direction. Break out of the matrix. And if the answer is no, well, then the same applies. You should be doing those things anyways, regardless if there's an overlord of controlling demons. But for the sake of interest, I've looked it up. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time researching these things. So absolutely, thank you for the other donation. I know that might be sort of Carlos's area where it's like, don't stray into the mysticism too much, which is right. Like, don't hate on the guy for saying that. He's fucking 100% true. You should be careful with how much you buy into the story, because humans like to embellish stories. I like to embellish stories, which is why I don't believe most of people's stories. So, as per everything, take information with a grain of salt. Be balanced in your pursuit of knowledge and happiness and whatnot. So Lavi just said another banger we could add to the Discord. Law of polarity. Anything that wants war wants balance. I love that. Don't you? All the other YouTube seems to have connects on the inside. Maybe I should. I'm gonna write someone a letter. And I'm gonna CC that bitch to whom it may concern. To whody this may concern? To whody this may concern. That's Toth for you guys, for you low levels. Why ain't I got no plugs on the other side? Keith, comma, MOL, signed, sealed, delivered. Return postage included. And then I'll be able to do cool things for you guys, like the rest of the YouTubers. All right. Guys, by the way, there's 3 coins inside the tip glass. And none of them are from test runs, which is what they've been for the past 2 weeks. And I'm really happy right now. Thank you, guys. Tahuti may concern. That's a bar, bro. Tahuti may concern. Damn, that is a bar. Can someone add that to the Discord? John, are you on top of the Discord editions? Thank you, Silent Sage. I was about to say I haven't heard from you, and then realized your name is Silent Sage. Which, without putting myself on blast too much, are probably the best types of sages, and here I am just fucking rambling at every chance I get online. Go figure. Cool. I think that's it for the questions. Is there any questions, anybody? Should we call it? This Page of Swords has just been staring at me for the past half hour, though. Oregano. When you smoke, do you daydream with your eyes open, training your body? If by smoke you mean smoke oregano, then no. Actually, I don't. I've never thought to do that. If I ever did think about smoking, though, what someone who is not me would do, it's generally used to dial in whatever frame of mind I'm trying to dial in, which is why the plant medicine can be so tricky sometimes. It's another topic, but no, I don't daydream with my eyes open because I'm usually doing something. I'm like watching a show, watching some Lord of the Rings, talking with you guys, reading audiobooks. What up, Jenny Pete? Good night, Treasure Rose. I'm not sure if you're coming or going. Let's see. The most recent thing added to the Discord was Tahuti May Concern is a bar that we're going to have to put in our next song. And Silent Sage said that. Sword is air, Page is the messenger. Wait, so swords is air and sometimes swords is fire in tarot decks? That seems unnecessarily confusing. Why the hell is that the case? That would change almost everything. It would change like 25% of everything. And so, in my opinion, why do I feel like this is going to be a triggering comment, Carlos? I'm down. Leave it. I'm just saying. Pages messenger. What the hell was that? I think a bat just flew by my room. Did you hear that crazy ass high pitched squeal? Something flew to the window. My windows, I have a sliding door that's open. Like flew and it was like, oh shit, that's like not somewhere where I need to be going. And then you hooked a left. And I'm guessing it was a bat because it made a crazy ass high pitched squeal. It's a sign. It means I need to go watch The Joker, and that was Batman letting me know because it's been out for too long now. Dominique! Jeremiah Sims, don't you believe watching Lord of the Rings and other action-filled topics would have the effect of you being the hero in an action-filled vision like an oracle? Don't you believe watching Lord of the Rings and other action-filled topics would have the effect of you being the hero in an action-filled vision. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're still on the last thing. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I guess you're right. I do daydream with my eyes open because it is a sort of fantasy. You're living in that world, you know? You feel like you're Frodo, leaving the comfort of your house unwillingly and having the time of your life and never wanting to go back home again. Yeah, fair enough. Touche, mon frère, touche. Ooh, Carlos just hit us with some fire. Carlos just hit us with the law of rhythm in the Hermetic philosophy, in the Kabbalion. One stands to gain quite a bit from diving into the right side of things, but one stands an equal amount to gain from the left. Here's what I feel about that, Carlos. I've been thinking about that. I don't think... So here's what he's talking about. He brings up the law of rhythm, which says, however far the pendulum swings on the left side, more or less is how far it's going to swing on the right side. And a good visualization of this is when you get the bowling ball and you hang it from a string and you put it in front of the person's face and you let it swing to the other person, you know that the bowling ball will never hit the other person in the face because the bowling ball cannot rise higher than its source. It's written right there in the fucking Hermetic philosophy. So he says, it stands that you stand to gain a shit ton of power from going down the right path. But because you can get a shit ton of power by going down one path, you must be able to get the same exact amount of power on the opposite side. But I don't think it's the same exact amount. I think that darkness or that negative energy tends to be more powerful. Like I think the darkness tends to be more powerful on average, whereas the light tends to be powerful, less average, but more crucial of a churning point. And a good corresponding element would be how that's portrayed in movies, which is a projection of human psyche. We always have they lose this battle and they're getting the shit kicked out of them, and it's the underdog, right? They lose, but when it comes to the grand finale, when it comes to it all being on the line, the good guy 9 times out of 10 wins, even though he gets the shit kicked out of him or her or they or Jiwa the entire time. They win in the most crucial. And I think that's what's so alluring about the dark side, is that it's a bit unbalanced in the micro in its favor. Darkness, the bad side, the wrong side. So where you get power, sure, but it comes at a very steep price. Sure, you have more power than the light. Sure, you have faster gains than the light. I'm sure you're more praised and loved than pursuing something on the light side. But it corrupts. That quality of energy is not sustainable, you know? Think again, here's another blast from the human psyche. Think of Star Wars. I don't know all the names. Oh, I wish I knew. I wish I had enough time to know all the names of the Star Wars characters. But Mace Windu, who is Samuel Jackson, I believe, walks in on the bad guy fighting the killing. Is it Anakin? I don't know. Anywho, it was a bad guy that was an undercover bad guy. The bad guy used his dark bad guy powers, and as soon as he got done using the dark bad guy powers, his face was wrinkled and his eyes were sucked in, and it's like the energy killed him to use it. But it was more powerful than the light side. And that doesn't disregard the law of balance, though. That's the cool thing. Because in the grand scheme of things, that one grand finale win matches all the small wins from the darkness. It's just from moment to moment, perceptions change. And that's why I really come in hot on people who say, oh, it's all perspective or it's all subjective. Like, there's no such thing as truth. It's all you can't know because everyone's experience is different. Like, yes, but also no, because on acute situations there is an objective right and an objective wrong. Like, if your goal is to make $10,000 this week and you write a list of things to do, there's a list of things to do and there's a list of things not to do, and that's objectively true. It is good to make phone calls. It is bad to watch Netflix. Like, there's no, you know what I mean? And we do this because we have to have direction. We have to have a hierarchy of choice. Otherwise, in other words, there has to be choices that are at least better than other choices, so that we have direction to go in. So we're not just fucking sort of bouncing from one thing to another like a feather in the wind, completely passive, unable to make our own decisions and choices. That was just a rant, though. I might get off pretty soon to go jam next door with the homie, by the way. Do you consider dark tribe music? That's right. Without the dark would not be. I'm reading you guys' comments right now. Without the dark would not the light be a blessing? Think of going to Alaska and having to live without. Hints left by the programmer. I like that. Question: do you know 7 laws actually originate? I've had that thought too with where. So this will be the last question. I'm taking off. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. I'm taking off unless someone hits me with another tip in the tip jar. Otherwise, I'm legit taking off because I'm going to eat some food. Where were we? Do you know where the 7 laws actually originate? I just assumed it was the Kabbalion for a while, but that doesn't seem right. Bradley Jean-Jacques asks. So they come from, quote unquote, whenever you look it up, it says that the laws come from Hermes Trismegistus, aka Hermes Thrice Great, which is the OG Egyptian name for him was Tahuti, and then the Greeks took that Egyptian name and came up with Thoth, and then the Greeks completely adopted Thoth and absorbed him into their culture, and Thoth was now Hermes, which is where Hermes and Hermetic philosophy comes from. And then the 3 initiates are those who wrote the Kabbalion. But the 3 initiates don't say who they are, it's just the 3 initiates, which is cool. It gives it an air of mysticism, like, oh my god, it's the 3 initiates, like it was probably written by Thoth. Chances are it's not, but I love that they worded it by that. Again, adding the sense of mysticism to get people hooked, to get people interested. Why not use these tactics if you're going to actually use them for the good? I always say, don't quote me, but what was that? Oh, I've read the Emerald Tablets a lot, and not anywhere in the Emerald Tablets do I see each law written verbatim. So the first law of mentality is there, correspondence as above so below is there, vibration is there, cause and effect is there. What are we missing though? Rhythm isn't too much there. Polarity, well, they're mostly there, but they're not written out verbatim. So sometimes I get the impression that the Kabbalion was written to give their own interpretation of the Emerald Tablets, or their own interpretation of the Corpus Hermeticum, which is another big body of Hermetic text. And they sort of took those things and distilled it into their own version of those. Not necessarily that the Kybalion was written by Thoth himself, but the cool thing is, it's been the most useful and relevant piece of esoteric knowledge that I've ever come across, because it doesn't have the mysticism, because it doesn't have the woo-woo, it doesn't have the traditions, it doesn't have the spiritual jargon that you're used to hearing, which it just helps. It just helps. Ooh, good point, Carlos. Point taken. Point taken. If this is a dream, then please wake me. The only thing is, I don't... So you say if you use these tactics, no one wakes up. But I've woken up, and I was brought in by those tactics. Like, you seem to demonstrate a sort of interesting defense against mysticism, which I feel might be clouding some of your judgment, and your objective judgment, because it doesn't make sense to me why having an interesting story to bring in a message would somehow diminish how effective that message was. Sure, it won't work for all people, and sure, it won't resonate with the masses, obviously, otherwise the masses would be woke, but it resonates with enough. You know, like there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. I'm sure there's 1,000 ways to be woke, and I'm sure mysticism is an avenue where one can be awakened to the truth of reality. It might not work with someone like you and a fuck ton of other people like you. So you guys had your route of study and knowledge. I have my route of sort of, like, Alan Watts says, finding nirvana isn't about finding God in peeling the potato. It's about peeling the potato, right? We sort of, it's like, it's whatever. It's whatever. It can be whatever. It can be peeling a potato. It can be seeing your child's first laughter. It could be from reading mystic stories online that get you curious about if these things are based in reality. So I'm not sold on the idea that mysticism is as bad as your defense is warranting. Wendy, I hate that feeling too. I hate it so much, that's exactly why I developed a tonic for dreaming, because I like the dream world so much. Anywho, I'm out, you guys. Thanks for hanging out this long. If you want to support the channel, John Smith sent a Patreon. I forgot to add it in the description, but I have a Patreon. And if you join the Patreon, I have discounts for the Etsy shop. So, what the fuck? I distill essential oils and hydrosols, pour dope-ass candles. So, if you like the channel and you want to support and you're into these things anyways, that would be a good way to support the homie. And fix your candle fetish. But thanks for being here, you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for the tips that you guys did give me in the little tip jar. We got 3 coin in there. That was wonderful. Thank you. What else can I thank you guys for? For fucking hanging out. You could be anywhere tonight. Like I usually say, you guys could be anywhere, but you're not. You're here hanging with me. Carlos, even you who's, you know, we're going back and forth. I like that shit. I fucking live off that shit. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that as well. It gives dynamic to the conversations. It's, You know, I don't want to be preaching to the choir. Fuck that. No one wants to preach to the choir. So I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. And appreciate the rest of you guys too. And unless you have said anything yada yada, and that was it. Cool. Little, Poet, Lenoir, Wendy, John Smith, Yui, Alchemy, Candy Mikowski. Life is good. Well said. Catch you guys in the next live. Peace out, y'all.